Washington, drop it. Power panel. Brett Ehrlich, Cenk, Uygur, Brooke Thomas, John Idalola.
I'll take it.
Or someone.
Idalola, he was a showgirl.
You're the second person to sing that this week.
Nice.
I can't get a break. No one in history has had more nicknames with no winners among them.
Yeah.
Wait, Johnny Two Skypes. On the damage report, when we have two Skypes, he's Johnny Two Skypes. That's the name of the rundown in our program.
I'll accept that. Today we did have two Skypes, indeed.
Yes, and when we were covering elections earlier in the week, like 8 times over, there was a comedian who ran in one of the elections, and his name was Jimmy Tingle.
Yeah, I saw that.
And which I think is kind of an unfortunate name. I think it might actually be his real name.
I think it might be.
Okay, and he lost, but he got 40%, which is actually shockingly good.
Yeah.
So anyway, John does have a ton of nicknames. By the way, one of my rare nicknames, I am the great dispenser of nicknames, but I do not receive many back, okay? And hence the only nicknames are the ones I have given myself.
Wait, what have you given yourself?
Cenk 2-pack. Because I started 2 packs, Wolfpack and Just Democrats. Okay.
So tickled.
And when I got arrested, I told a longer version of this story during a post game, tyt.com/join, which we'll talk about in a second. But when I got arrested for civil disobedience to get money out of politics in Washington, D.C., they say, do you have any known aliases?
Oh, that's good.
And I was like, why, of course I do.
So you gave a list?
No, I just said, El Jefe. I always wanted to be known as El Jefe. So now, literally, in my criminal record, it says Cenk Uygur, AKA El Jefe. How cool is that?
If you were to do that, if you were to do that now, you'd just be deported. No proceedings, deported.
Way to seize an opportunity.
I know, right?
I wonder, do most people answer no to that question, I imagine?
I imagine if they have actual aliases.
But you say no.
Right, I don't think that they're like, oh yeah, Johnny Two Cakes, right?
Let me tell you, if they're talking about so-and-so, that's me.
Cakes.
Anybody else in here? What?
Oh, that's the name of the guy with the Asio or Janto or whatever. His name was Johnny Two Takes or whatever.
Oh, was that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because he did everything in 2 takes. Anyway, I don't even remember if it was Johnny. But I can't wait for Johnny to get arrested because when they ask him for an alias, he's like, you better sit down. This is gonna take a while. All right, anyways, we have a huge show ahead for you guys. We've got amazing stories about Donald Trump, of course. We have an amazingly yellow dress on for Brooke Thomas. And everybody in here was taking 28 selfies when I walked in. I've got other things to say. All right, so in the beginning of the week, we told you we're launching a membership drive. I'm going to give you the exciting number we're at now. We're doing something crazy. We're telling you how many paid subscribers we have. No one else on the planet does that. We're updating it daily for you guys. We started the week at 27,661. That is incredibly specific. We update it for you all the time. There it is. There's hold. Don't tell me what we got so far. Anna said in the beginning of the day, can we see 30,000 by the end of the day? And the answer was a resounding no, we could not. That's crazy. Of course, not that many people are gonna sign up in one day. And I said, Anna, that might take a while. Or did it? Okay, so hold. Okay, you never know with us, you never know. Okay, so every day we've been giving you something a little extra. Now, next week, we're gonna start progressive videos, okay? On different topics, and you're gonna love them. And part of what you're doing is when you sign up for membership is you get all the shows that we currently have, but we're also giving you more and more content. So soon, John is gonna do a video about climate change that definitively proves it. You can send to your conservative aunts and uncles where people go, oh, well, I didn't know that chart. I didn't know the temperature was going up every day. Okay, so John didn't know that, but he knows.
I just discovered that.
Okay, well,
I knew it before you did.
Well, John, you're True North. How could you not do one on
Just
climate
go
change?
watch True North. That'll prove it.
Okay, well, that's a little bit longer than the video we're gonna make. And I'm reading the nice comments too, but I got a fun, excellent news for you today too, as to what you're gonna get if you're a member, which I think you're gonna love. But first, a couple of really nice comments. We really enjoy these. So I'm going to go to, who am I going to? Arthur Clark, okay? He said, I'm your newest activist member. I'm happy to take part in this fight in one of the only ways that I can. Well, Arthur, God bless your heart. So there's 2 levels. There's Insider, that's $4.99. There's Activist, that's $10. You get more for Activist, plus you help build a home of progressives. So Arthur, bless your heart. Now I'm doing a shout out to Emily English, and she wrote in, been a member for over a year, but still watch on YouTube. You guys are the only thing getting me through this presidency. Every day you help me catch my breath about it all. And thank you for being the activists you are. You guys make me feel like we the people can actually save our future. Team TYT for life.
Nice.
Okay, excellent. We have to come up with some sort of a gang sign, obviously. And I think we tried this a long time ago, me and Jesus. Didn't really work.
There is one though.
Is there?
You do this.
No, you don't.
I'm gonna do a stomp the yard version, which is TYT, and that's just a pitch.
And you know what?
And then you go like that, TYT.
Right, that could be like the birdie that landed on Bernie's podium.
Yeah,
right?
it lands down TYT. John hates it. John hates it.
It's very friendly.
Just such
I like
contempt
it.
for that idea.
It would crack me up if Brett did that.
The worst part is I could see it in the monitor, and as I started, I knew it was a failure.
But you kept going, you know.
Although, if you really want a tough gang sign, though, you really do want to do this. Hey guys. Anyway,
It's really good in Stomp the Yard when they go like.
Before I get to the numbers, so here's the fun, great thing you guys are gonna get to. So we have a newsletter, and so people love the newsletter so far. I read it, I'm like, oh wait, I didn't know that story, that's a good story. And we have something extra in there. When we have special guests on, we ask them, or even if they're not guests, if they're great progressives, we asked them 5 burning questions, which is kind of an interesting name. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez participated. So if you're a member, you get the newsletter and you get to find out the answers to questions such as, what was her proudest moment? And the reality show she didn't miss while campaigning.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so you know what? I didn't read it yet. Now all of a sudden I'm like, wait, where's my newsletter?
Right.
Okay, so tyt.com/join, obviously, to become a member. tyt.com/join. So now, at the end of the week, did we get the 30,000? The big reveal. What's the line? Drop it. No.
So close.
I told you, you never know with us. Every other show would have been a big lead up to 30,000. No, with us, no, that's the real number. What can I do?
But the day's not over.
Right.
Wait a minute, that's true. The day is not over.
There's hours left.
127.
Yeah.
That's it.
Gift
We can
someone.
do that.
Yeah.
We can do that right now. tyt.com/join. Okay. I think True North is right. I think we can do it.
Is there any coincidence that 27 is in the number?
What is
Okay,
that?
I have no idea.
I think
what
it's the
that
number
is.
Average
23 is
donation.
the.
Oh, I see the average donation. Oh.
Look at
You
him
know
go.
what?
Stop it, don't. It's mocking and I can handle it, but I honestly don't want to see TYT people out there going like this.
If you see Brett on the street, please do
greet
some
him.
sort of bird motion. A pecking maybe, I don't know.
Oh, you know what? Maybe your nickname could be Birdman.
I'll take it, I don't have a nickname.
That's true. It's weird you don't have a nickname. All right, we'll work on that. Yes, and then we got to get one for Brooke, etc. All right. So, having said that, thank you guys, and thank you to all the members for making this show possible. One last time, tyt.com/join. All right, let's get started.
Okay, I want to start off with a little bit of recently breaking news. This happened within an hour of the show happening, and that is that George Papadopoulos, former Trump campaign aide, has actually been sentenced. He has gotten 14 days in jail. That's not very long.
Oh
actually.
my God, ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Down goes Papadopoulos.
An entire fortnight, John?
Yeah.
Is that?
He's
40
got
nights?
he's
Never
got
mind.
he's getting 1.4 Scaramucci's in jail, basically. So also 1 year of supervised release and yada yada yada, some other stuff or whatever. But just 14 days for lying to the FBI about his involvement with Russians, conversations, Trump campaign, blah blah blah.
Okay, that it seems fairly anticlimactic, and I'll tell you, especially because first they gave evidence about Trump presumably in the campaign, and so They got a plea deal, and he pleaded guilty. So it was like, whoa, Papadopoulos, oh my God, what did he give? Okay. Then later they seemed to panic, and his girlfriend came out, and she's like, oh, Mr. Trump, whatever you do, and a pardon would be great, and hey, please, and so this is what they wanted a pardon for 14 days? So
maybe they took it down from 12 years to 14 days.
Like the investigation lasted longer. What we were talking about it. The rapper Lil Kim got more time in jail for lying than someone who, right? I think it was like during a deposition or something, but he lied to the feds. That should be a scary thing, lying to the feds. It should be, I don't know if that makes it that scary. Also, the feds, they like to dole out punishment. This is interesting.
I really don't know what to do with this information.
Right?
That it's 2 weeks and 2 weeks for all of this. Now he was the first one. Maybe they're just getting warmed up. I don't know. But like 2 weeks, it doesn't feel like I got anything.
Right.
Yeah. So look, important context, and then we'll have a little bit of fun with guessing things that probably aren't true. So the context is that the reason he's getting 14 days is because he did cooperate with prosecutors. So obviously they got some sort of information that they found to be useful, otherwise the sentence would not have been that light. So I think that's the most important takeaway. Now the fun. Okay, so if in the beginning they give him a deal, but they haven't done the sentencing, then he panics and he's like, yeah, please pardon me, Donald Trump. And they had spoken out against Trump before that, so changing their minds and asking for the pardon was an indication that they were going to get a big sentence. And the girlfriend is the fiance is going on TV all over the place saying the prosecutors basically implying that they lied to them. So then it seemed like there was going to be a big scary moment where he was going to get a decade or something. And then at the end he gets 14 days. So did something happen between their panic and the 14 days where they gave more information?
Well, one quote that I saw, and again, we didn't even have formal write-ups of this really, was he said that he couldn't guarantee that he hadn't said to Trump or the campaign during the campaign anything about the dirt that the Russians had acquired. I don't know if he said it to the Mueller investigators or the prosecutors or anything like that, but he couldn't confirm coming out of this sentencing whether he had told them about it. Again, I don't know what to do with that information. I'm just telling you what happened today.
And this is the reality of life. I see so many court dramas where people are giving or cooperating with the police and the authorities, and then it ends up leading to some kind of amazing dramatic moment. But this is not the bang, but the whimper. That's just like 14 days, and maybe we'll find out later. But it is good to see that like there was something that happened, and without him, it wouldn't, he was the one that started all these, as NPR writes, dominoes falling. But I guess it just keeps going. There's something that happened out of it, and we just need to keep paying attention as it proceeds.
So if you don't remember, last piece of context here is that Papadopoulos went and talked to an Australian diplomat. The Australian then went and told the US government, hey, this guy who's working on the Trump campaign has connections to the Russians that he's been telling me about. You guys should go investigate. The FBI then goes, oh, that's disconcerting. The presidential campaigns should not be talking to foreign governments, no matter who they are. That starts the dominoes. And then the Trump team calls him a coffee boy, and he's not a big deal. So there is dispute that we still don't know the answer to, obviously, and that's why we're partly speculating here as to how much he did know and how much he gave to Mueller's team. He clearly knew that there was a connection to the Russians, and they found it valuable enough to give him a deal and give him a very, very light sentence. If it was just, hey, the Russians are interested in giving us information, I don't think he gets 14 days. But if he does have something about how he told Trump, the Russians have incriminating evidence about you, well, that would make it far more interesting. And perhaps that's why we have the lighter sentence. But for today, all we know is he did cooperate and he got 14-day sentence.
The other thing we know is that when on his alias, on his indictment, his alias is Coffee Boy. That's his official alias now.
So it turned out it was true.
I hear, no, his alias is Covfefe.
Covfefe.
Maybe that's what it was referring to.
I would like someone to keep a tally of how often during this show we come back around in this joke.
Number one, that's the one we've done.
Okay.
El Cofete.
Just have
We'll be checking.
Sneaky suspicion this is not the end.
We will see. So why don't we move on to last night's big rally? Donald Trump held a rally in Billings, Montana, and it was really something. He brought up the topic of impeachment, which is interesting because many of the Dems running in these races, especially the leadership, don't want to talk about impeachment. Doesn't mean anybody isn't, but they don't really want to focus on it in terms of the campaigns. But that's not the impression that Donald Trump is getting. And so he spoke about this argument over his potential impeachment, and also who would be to blame if he were to be impeached, which you'll see in this clip.
They like to use the impeach word. Impeach Trump. Maxine Waters, we will impeach him. But he didn't do anything wrong. It doesn't matter. We will impeach him. You know, I was thinking, if that happened, every time a Republican or a Democrat, opposite, got elected president. So let's say a Democrat gets elected someday. Hopefully it's a long time. But let's say a Democrat gets elected. And let's say we have a Republican House. We will impeach that Democrat, right? And then a Republican. And you do, then what you're going to have is you'll have a country that's going to turn into a third world country. Because if the opposite party becomes president, every time before it even starts, before you've even found out whether or not he or she is going to do a great job, they'll say, we want to impeach him, and you'll impeach him. It's so ridiculous. But worry about that if it ever happens. But if it does happen, it's your fault because you didn't go out to vote. Okay? You didn't go out to vote.
Okay, that is one I'll give him where he did appear to be joking at least.
Yeah, my favorite part of this is, can you imagine a scenario where a Democrat is president and the Republicans try to impeach him over something silly like maybe a consensual affair? Oh right, that already happened. Did we forget that already happened? And he said throughout the rally, he's like, I mean, how do you impeach a guy who's doing really well? Well, first of all, those two things are not at all connected. So if you killed someone while the economy was doing well, you'd still get impeached, right? And the Democrat who was in office when the Republicans impeached him over something incredibly minor was presiding over an enormously successful economy, stock market booming, unemployment down, the deficits down, turned into surpluses. So apparently it can be done, and it was done by your party.
But he didn't do anything wrong. Who cares? We'll impeach him. I do hear them say that a lot, the Democrats. He didn't do anything wrong, but we're going to impeach him. No, that's not what they're saying.
I was going to say, wait, that was you sold that because I was like, wait, I've never heard that.
Yeah, and considering all that he's done from day one, emoluments, not divesting, all of that, there's, I would say, very little talk about impeachment, honestly.
Yeah,
I mean, Elizabeth Warren brought up.
Right now.
Yeah, Elizabeth Warren brought up the 25th Amendment, but only as a result of someone inside of his White House bringing it up. That's what it took. I'm shocked that it's not more common of an argument.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that you can focus on when you're crafting a message for change. And I really am gravitating toward people who are buying the impeached shirts. I like the impeached shirts. I think they're great. I think they're funny. You should totally get one from the TYT store because they're fantastic. But also I like all of the candidates who are just focusing on issues that people generally can support, get behind, agree with, and that will benefit a lot of Americans. And a lot of the people like the Beto O'Rourke's of the world are focusing on the issues. And I'm fine with that. So Trump is just setting up a straw man of all these people who are like, oh, it's immediately going to be an impeach. It's the punchline was a joke, but the setup was even more ridiculous. That's what got me.
Right, he could have taken the time. He could have absolutely broken down everyone who has mentioned impeach and their reasons why, and he could have come up with an argument against what they're saying, but instead he just wraps it all up in something that isn't true. Yeah. They just want to do it for the sake of doing it. I never did anything wrong, or they're not saying I did anything wrong, which is not. Not true.
And so to the point of it not being true, a couple of things. One, Nancy Pelosi is literally fighting against impeachment. Every time they ask her about it, she's like, that's not what we're going to do. That's not a priority of ours. We're not going to talk about it. In fact, I think she's panicking in the wrong direction. I don't need them to run their campaigns on impeachment. I agree 100% with Brett. Run it on healthcare, run it on economic dignity, better wages, et cetera. That's what the American people care about. impeachment is a responsibility if if the president has done something wrong. You can't shirk that responsibility because there's an election coming up and you think that, it might energize Republican voters to vote against you. And that actually seems to be the Democratic strategy. So Trump is actually saying the exact opposite of what the Democratic strategy is. There are some Democrats that he mentioned, like Maxine Waters and others, who say, yeah, impeachment. But overall, Democratic leadership's like, no, not impeachment. Not impeachment, because they're afraid to rile up Trump's base. Now, I think that's silly, but that's the strategy that they're doing. So it's the opposite of what Trump is saying. And then like his defense of the Republican Party as if like they would never do that. Like, could you imagine if they did it back and forth? I mean, other than the fact that I just explained they did do it. My God, now imagine if Hillary Clinton had won, but she wouldn't divest her money and then did some self-dealing and made deals with countries where she had personal investments. And then she wouldn't release her tax returns, so nobody ever knew what was in her tax returns and what other monies she could be making. And then she did a deal with Indonesia and China and ZTE. And then somebody wrote an op-ed saying, I'm inside her administration and she's lost her mind and you should use the 25th Amendment. And I can go on for half a day. Do you have any idea how quickly the Republicans would impeach?
Yeah.
Immediately, within 24 hours.
I agree. But we do have more videos I want to get to. Donald Trump, at his rallies, he tends to deliver the same message sort of over and over. It's a little bit practiced. He doesn't have notes, but it's sort of the same script. But that doesn't mean that at various points he doesn't have a little bit of trouble expressing his thoughts. And you're going to see that demonstrated right here.
The latest act of resistance is the op-ed published in the failing New York Times by an anonymous, gutless coward. You just look.
I don't know what that was.
No, it's so childish to laugh at that.
I know, but it's impossible to not. I mean, so in another part of this speech, he said, they say that I don't have the mental capacity. Okay, first of all, I wouldn't be talking about that. Okay, and he says, how could they say that? I give all these speeches. He said it in a Fox News interview before one of the rallies. He said, I give all these speeches and people can see I talk for an hour straight. I know, we did see. When you say anonymous, you don't know how to say anonymous. Well, you're not really proving your case that you're in a wonderful mental state. That doesn't seem like, if it is Exhibit A, I would argue that it's in the opposite direction.
And he never got it. Like, most people will go anonymous, oh, this is a tough word, anonymous. But he was just like, I'm just gonna go on and not acknowledge it. And in both videos that we have seen so far, he just starts saying these words, so many words. I don't understand what must be going through the mind of most people in the audience. It's almost like they're listening to him going like, no, you got it, buddy. You'll get there eventually.
Right.
You got it. I know that when you say these two people from the Democrat, Republican, the opposite, they just, I don't know.
Well, like help him out. Someone who didn't show their face. Yeah.
I've been very frustrated the few times that I do tune into these rallies that when he says something crazy, you don't see a reaction behind him because we don't see most of the people in the crowd. The only people we see are the people standing behind him. And generally, they love it. It doesn't matter what he says, how crazy it is, how rambling it is, ominously. It doesn't matter, but not last night, where there was actually an individual behind him who was not having it, who I personally believe might be the resistor inside of the White House. But anyway, here he is. You'll notice his face pretty immediately.
An anonymous, gutless coward. Seriously, people that don't exactly dig us and they don't exactly like me, they're fighting for us. It's it's actually a beautiful thing. We've picked up a lot of support because at some point this whole thing is going to be exposed. Other countries, by the way, are not doing well at all. And had I not won, we would have been in negative. We wouldn't be at 4.2. We would have been in negative numbers. We were going down. And the tax cuts, we freed up our country, and it's great to watch. I mean, okay. Tell me, is raising your taxes like supposed to be a popular thing to do? Because what's going on, they have been driven ever an economy like we have. Nobody's ever had this economy. So hopefully you're going to remember that. Where we took that horrible Iran deal and we terminated it, and you look at what's going on. We're respected again as a nation.
As Brooke noticed, the thing that bothered him most, getting out of the Iran deal.
Right, he was like, all right, okay.
That was just a bridge too far.
It was too far.
So they had him removed for making funny faces.
Right.
Yeah, they took him out.
I actually thought that was mild because I saw the headline, right? And I thought he was going to be doing a Trump imitation in the background going,
No.
we have a very strong economy. No, he was just like making tiny little faces. They're like, remove him, he does not agree with the president 100%.
Well, there's one point where Trump starts talking about how it was harder for him to win the electoral college than it is for someone to win the popular vote. And the guy behind him literally just goes, what?
Right. Just by definition, that doesn't make any sense.
Huh?
Yeah.
So then they do, and when they bring someone out to replace him, it is amazing. It is just like someone jaunts out and like, he just kind of looks and sees someone approaching him and he kind of knows the jig's up and then he walks off to the side. But then they replace the two people standing next to him.
They were worried
They're
it
like,
had
"Get
been,
everybody out of there."
the infection had spread.
Yeah.
I, for one, am offended that blacks for Trump are not represented in that background shot this time because Diamond and Silk would never.
Maybe they thought the two people next to him were like Diamond and Silk, just going like,
Do you think it was this guy absolutely was like, I'm going to see if I can get right behind Trump the whole way?
I was thinking that thing, like, if
the
this was the
alternative-
plan, how did he get, just ended up too perfect?
Yeah, well, they must not have their extreme vetting in place. But yeah, because I love the alternative. The alternative is more funny. He's like, oh, this Trump guy seems pretty great. And then this is the first time he's actually listened. He's like, oh my God, he's lost it.
He's the last American who could change their mind politically.
He's like,
Everyone
I just
else
caught
knows
up
what
on
they
House of Cards. So what's this guy about?
he's like, I came in here believing that Q Mom was right.
Anonymous, actually. Most people don't know about Anonymous. It's women who have kids and are hackers, and they fight against the government.
But yeah, when he mispronounced anonymous, he actually was trying to say aneurysm, which is funny.
Anonymous is Legion. And finally, Brent noticed when he said tax cuts, the guy mouthed for the rich.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's how you know that he was not a Trump supporter.
Because it's like, since when are raising your taxes a good thing? And everyone watching.
The plaid threw them off.
Right.
It's an ambiguous material.
So you want to see the first break?
Yeah, okay, if you say so. All right, guys. Apparently, John is making us take the first break.
Almost halfway through the first hour. Usually we take the first break around 8 p.m. Pacific, but I think we'll go early this time.
Okay. So when we come back, you're going to be shocked to find out that Donald Trump has lauded a criminal. It bragged about it on stage. We'll show you. We hope you're enjoying this free clip from the Young Turks. If you want to get the whole show and more exclusive content while supporting independent media, become a member at tyt.com/join today. In the meantime, enjoy this free segment. All right, back on the Young Turks. So let me do YouTube super chat real quick. Gina Dam says, I love Cenk's juxtapositions. They're always eye-opening. Why, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. I didn't even, I had more. Imagine if Hillary Clinton, if she was president, just tweeted Kofefe and said, yeah, I meant it. It's a secret code word. QAnon, Republicans would go crazy. She's lost her mind, brain aneurysm. And that was one of like the smaller controversies out of Trump's billion controversies.
You need none of that. Imagine if she wore a tan suit.
Yeah. Well, that does sound really bad.
A couple days ago, Trump just tweeted, treason? ? And nobody even really talked about it. It was just treason, all caps with a question mark. Nobody cared.
No context, no nothing.
Doesn't matter.
Because we know the president's lost his mind and we've gotten used to it. Okay, so Feebag says, just joined as a member as a birthday gift for myself. Now that's a good gift, okay?
A gift that keeps on giving.
That's right. As an Australian, anything that happens in the US directly affects us. And it's time we got into this fight. Too strong. Thank you. Feedbacks, we appreciate it. That's awesome. Now, speaking of members, let me go through real quick. There's a lot of them, but they're short. Evan says, hi, it's my first time watching live as a member from Southern California. Hey, that's where we are. Maybe one day we could run into you.
Stop it.
Okay.
Stop it. No, now it's just me.
One more time,
Someone
and by the
tweeted
rules of
me.
this rule, it sticks.
Someone tweeted the Napoleon Dynamite thing at me during the break. That's exactly what it is.
Steven, TYT needs to bring back the arm wrestling tournament. I'd love to see El Jefe versus Johnny Two Cakes.
Yeah, we've had that match before.
Yeah, but you're swole as hell now.
That's right.
I know. It's a new Johnny Two Cakes.
I'm always sore.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. So already making excuses.
You never actually get to use it. I don't know.
Okay. Hey,
It's so funny.
So Steven, all I have to say to you is, hold.
Oh, come on.
Wow.
No, I don't know. We got a membership drive. I don't know. You guys asked. We got to deliver, right? That's our job. Anyway, we'll see. Nathaniel says, I love this show, the best progressive show ever. I'm an activist level. This is the best money I spend all year. Love all the shows. Thank you. By the way, happy half hour with Brett Ehrlich. Damage Report with John Iadarola. Everybody sign up for rate his podcast.
Please.
Okay.
On iTunes.
Yes.
5 stars
every
preferably.
Monday.
Yeah.
And then tweet me the screenshot so that I can send you a unique, awesome GIF.
Really?
That's what I've been doing. That has been the transaction. You rate it 5 stars, I send you a GIF.
Just the internal email gift game by John Iadarola has been insanely good lately.
When Gina books a good guest. Oh, by the way, in 2 weeks we have an awesome guest in studio that I've been trying to get for like 5 months now.
Wow.
Yeah, I always send her back an encouraging, awesome GIF.
Oh, you do? Well, what's with all the gifts and how come I've never gotten one? Okay, I'm not saying anything. I haven't said a word.
Rate the podcast.
Okay. Okay. I'm not sure I want a gift from Johnny Two Cakes. Okay. Exmentis says only 14 days Papadopoulos must have given FBI something really valuable. These are all member comments, by the way, on TYT Live, tyt.com/live. Earlier, Brent mentioned the shop. It's shoptyt.com. Larry says, Cenk, is it normal for a president to be having rallies all the time like he is, like he's still on the campaign trail, and who's paying for all of them? Good question on who's paying for all of them. I actually want to look into that a little bit more. Thank you for bringing that up. Do you know how many campaign rallies he's had overall, including the campaign? 520.
No. Right,
that's amazing.
Massive.
That's more than the number of holes of golf he's played.
Probably not.
Probably not.
No.
Rounds.
Yeah.
This is not normal.
No, it isn't. He just loves it. He loves being a showman. That's the only thing, part of the job he enjoys.
Although, if Obama had done rallies but centered around policies, I think that we would have really encouraged that. Like, if
I don't. If he'd even done entertainment, I would have liked it. No, I don't mind the rallies at all. That's so, especially when we go interview schmucks out. Anyway, and some interesting people, and we learn some stuff, etc. Anyway, no, I'm not one of those progressives like, oh, he does too many rallies. Hey, he's president, he can do whatever he wants. And he's getting his message out, which Obama didn't do enough, to be honest, okay? Jonathan says, just joined, love the fact that I'll be able to watch the post-game show. Thank you, Jonathan. And Mark M1427 says, removing someone for making a facial expression, snowflake much?
Yeah, good point.
All good points by the members. tyt.com/join to become a member. All right, what's next, John?
Okay, well, you just mentioned that Obama didn't do enough speeches when he was president. Well, now he's not president. President Barack Obama returned to give a speech in Illinois where I believe that he was more openly critical of Donald Trump than he's been since before the 2016 election. We've got a number of different clips, but this first one's gonna summarize the general tone of his argument pretty well.
The status quo pushes back. Sometimes the backlash comes from people who are genuinely, if wrongly, fearful of change. More often it's manufactured by the powerful and the privileged who want to keep us divided and keep us angry and keep us cynical because that helps them maintain the status quo and keep their power and keep their privilege. It did not start with Donald Trump. He is a symptom, not the cause. He's just capitalizing on resentments that politicians have been fanning for years. A fear and anger that's rooted in our past, but it's also born out of the enormous upheavals that have taken place in your brief lifetimes.
Oh, so that's what an intelligent president sounded like. And so Trump hears that speech, and the correct reaction to that should be embarrassment. Like, oh, he speaks in complete sentences and actually is eloquent and makes interesting points. Instead, Trump said, it was so boring, I fell asleep watching the speech.
Wasn't the speech pretty early in the day?
Yeah, but he'd already been up for 10 hours sleeping.
Right, it was nap time. But what you said was right. This is absolutely the I guess, harshest critique ever. This is definitely the first time the former president has criticized President Trump while using his name, like by name, publicly in a speech. And I think a lot of people were like, whoa, as soon as they saw it, come out of his mouth.
By the way, I want to say one other thing. So he generally, this is the most critical he's been, but even that, it's very like poet laureate critical.
Yeah.
And still, the right responds with, "This is why you got Trump, lay off him." Whereas Trump's speech is, "They're Antifa bastards who are gonna kill you all." But this is too critical. This is how much I'm referring there to Ben Shapiro with the "this is why you got Donald Trump." They can't take any criticism whatsoever, even if it's a nuanced analysis of historical trends being played on by deceitful politicians. But Donald Trump says they love ISIS, they love MS-13, and the right cheers for that. That's totally fair. Totally fair point, perfectly fine.
It's simple, quick, and to the point. I mean, that's what it is. It's just that. We had to jump cut Obama speaking because he takes his time, and I like it. And that is something that resonates with me, and I'm grateful for President Obama speaking in a way that I would hope and need more my president to speak like. But Trump's speaking to his folks, and he's saying it very quickly in a combination of two things. One, it's very simple and reduced. And then the other one, it's just, I'm gonna be done talking in 2 seconds after saying buzzwords you've read in headlines, so then you can clap.
Yeah.
Right.
And incredibly repetitive.
It was a long speech, and he kind of joked around about being quiet, and that angered a lot of people. Like just him being quiet over all of this time. But this long speech, he touched on almost everything that broke in the news that people were asking him to talk about. He kind of hit everything in this hour and a half long speech.
To John's point, you might be a snowflake if you get triggered by nuanced analysis. Okay, so. And what has Trump said about Obama? People are like, Obama might be breaking decorum here by criticizing a sitting president when he's a former president. Decorum? We're still having a conversation about decorum? Trump said Obama wasn't even an American. Trump said 100 terrible things about Obama while he was president. And afterwards, while Trump is president, he hasn't respected that rule at all. He tweets all the time about how Obama should be investigated by the Department of Justice. He's basically threatening to lock up Obama, and Obama has to follow decorum? I mean, come on. God, there is no bigger whiners in the world than right-wingers in America. Like, they think, you should say Merry Christmas, and I'm gonna crush it, you're a Mr. and lip-tart. And you're like, hey, I think you might be a little off there. I can't believe you said that. That's why Trump won. You guys always about this. Obama said that this guy is the symptom, not the cause. He said symptom, not the cause. I don't know what that means. God, you guys are such snowflakes. You're such babies.
This is just me speculating here, but Brooke mentioned this word earlier. Maybe they just do need a nap. Like, what if it's just that they need a nap? Because it is like this complaining, like, no, when you were tired and angry, and your parents were like, I think it's nap time, they would just be, no, I don't want to do it. I'm totally aware.
Yeah.
They pass. I don't know. Maybe
I think the rally should start with a good 15-minute nap.
Just a quick nap.
Sorry, I just want to say one more thing about this. Because I want to talk about the substance of what Obama said. The best line he had was, that Trump is the symptom, not the cause. And that's very similar to a line Naomi Klein said here on the Young Turks. She said, if we go back to a time where we get rid of Trump, right? Well, that's a time so bad that it created Trump. So that's not good enough. Resistance is not good enough. What we need is true reform or revolution. Now, Obama doesn't go that far because he's not that guy. He's a fairly establishment figure, keep it real, okay? But it is an excellent point that he is making, saying, look, if you just got rid of Trump, that isn't the problem. The problem is there is a great anger in the country and a resentment and a paranoia that he talked about throughout the speech. And the Republican Party in mass is feeding into that. The reason you got Trump is because they did the Southern strategy. They went to go try to appeal to racists in the South. And then they did dog whistles, and then the whistles got a little louder until they turned into a megaphone. That's Donald Trump rallies going, the left, the immigrants, they're terrible, and every black person he ever talks about is low IQ. I mean, how's that for ironic, right? For Trump. And so I think that that's the thing we need to focus on. And if anything, Obama needed to be much harsher and more frequent. I mean, this is the first time he's come out. There's 2 months left before the election. My God, man, up and at him. He keeps punching you in the face. And okay, but you're retired, I get it. And I know you're writing a book, etc. But there's all these people who need your help. So the Republicans claim, oh yeah, we like to see Obama. We like to see him more. That's why we want. No, he's sitting at nearly 60% approval rating. Trump's in the 30s. Obama is nearly twice as popular as Donald Trump. He should be out there all the time making that case.
Yeah. Is there any truth to that though, that just seeing him invigorates and just fires up Trump's base? Is there any?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And if Trump was up for re-election, it wouldn't make any difference because every racist can go vote for him anyway, right? And so when they see Obama, yeah, that gets under their racist skin, right? In the midterms, it's a little bit different. They might be like, I don't know, I'm gonna have a beer instead and yell at the TV. Oh, I saw Obama. But overall, no. People get excited to vote, and that's what turns them out. Right. So when Trump was up for election, some of them were excited about throwing a brick through the establishment window. They're like, I don't like Hillary Clinton. I'm gonna go out there and vote against her. Or I like Trump because he's saying I'm bringing back coal jobs. I'm a coal miner. Or I like the 1950s. I want to go back to that era. You know, all these different things. I know, right? So, but right now the Democrats are animated, right. and they're super mad at what's happened since then. Well, there's a good way to fix that. So overall, this is how Republicans try to get you to not do anything. They go, Democrats, you better not speak out. Obama, you better not speak out. Otherwise, our guys will get mad and show up to vote. Okay, then nobody ever makes their case. No, don't listen to, I got newsflash for you guys. The Republican Party is not concerned about what's good for the Democrats. Do not take advice from them. So very likely it's the exact opposite. No, you should go and make your case nonstop.
Yeah. There were a lot of other good quotes, but I do think that we have to move on. A few other things we want to touch on this hour.
Okay, all right, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, is Kavanaugh going to end Roe v. Wade, and how is he going to end it? Because I think how is the really interesting part. And I actually think with all those protests, there haven't been enough protests with these confirmation hearings. But I'll unveil my plan that will not happen when we return.